So, ADHD assessment. Excuse my voice, I'm just recovering from a respiratory thing, so it might be a bit husky. So, assessment, once I'd made the decision to go for a diagnosis, I did a little bit of reading, did some online free questions that gave me an idea of how the questions might look during assessment, and watched some YouTube and TikTok videos of what the lived experience was like for people. Because when reading the questions you think, well, what does that mean and how would I answer that? And I don't even really know what it's asking. So I find that really useful. Then the next step, I made an appointment with my GP and said I would like to go for a diagnosis of ADHD, and explained why, sort of citing my, at that time, current problems and issues that I'd had in childhood and struggles with mental health. And he was really good and really accepting and said, yeah, absolutely, and made the referral. Luckily, where I live, there is an NHS neurological specialist service called NES. So that referral went through to NES, who then sent me some of their assessments, so self-assessment forms for ADHD. Again, it kind of got me used to the questioning. So lots of the questions were on and around things of like self-perception, struggles that you'd had with education, struggles with attention, struggles with sleep, struggles with eating, struggles with friendships and relationships. So I filled that in and sent that back. And then I had another questionnaire that had to be filled in by a parent or a carer. So my mum filled that one in. And then I had, and I think that was based in childhood, that one, and I think that was called something like I don't know, they all have different letters to the name, the different types of assessments and the different types of forms that they send you. So I had the self-assessment for the first one, which was just for their I kind of triaging, I guess, to assess if they thought that actually an assessment was necessary. Then an assessment to send out to a parent or guardian to fill in from childhood. And then I had another 2 assessments, like shorter self-assessment, and then one for that was filled in by my partner or other half, who also filled that back in, and then we sent those back. And then it took quite a long time, but not as long as it does now. I think about 18 months later I got a date for my assessment, which at the time, because we were isolating and Corona was still around, so it was via Teams. So I had an assessment, which again was a clinical interview, and it, obviously again going through those questions that I'd answered in self-assessment. I'd also submitted, because they did ask if I had any school reports or anything that could back up presence in childhood of maybe ADHD and struggles with ADHD, which I hadn't kept. So I asked both parents, and my brother did a kind of witness statement of how I was and how I am and how I'd been a child, and struggles and naughtiness and all those kind of things, and submitted those. And even though some of the questions, don't be put off if you think I don't think I'd understand what some of the question means. When you have your clinical interview, the person interviewing does sort of help guide you through what those things might look like, or explain it a bit better to draw those answers out of you as well. And during that time in the clinical assessment, they're kind of watching for behaviours as well as all the questions that they're asking. Some of those questions can make you feel a little bit odd, because they ask about eating, they ask about your relationships, they ask about sex, they ask about lots of different things, and whether you've had struggles with and self-perception. And I think sometimes the wording, and because the whole thing is it's attention deficit, isn't it? And it's almost like a negative connotations. So don't be surprised if you come away feeling a little bit, I feel a bit broken or a bit rubbish. But the person that actually did my interview was absolutely lovely and gave lots of positive feedback and explained things, and was actually really nice. So I was thankful for having that, because I think if they hadn't have done that, I'd have come away feeling a little bit more like, oh my gosh, I really am, broken and useless, and it would again have impacted their self-esteem, and just sort of reiterated that a little bit. And then I think a week later I had another feedback session with the same person that had done my assessment, and then I was given my official diagnosis of ADHD combined type. And at that, they asked me if I'd like to try medication, to which I said, yes, I think I would. And they said, well, even if you don't, or, you get there and decide you don't want to, that's absolutely fine. But from there, they put then another referral in for me to start titration with a different practitioner to start medication. And from that time of that then referral, it took about 5 months to get my appointment through, and it was about 6 months after my initial assessment so that I then got started on the ADHD medication, and have never looked back since. And I just want to say, if you are considering going for diagnosis, don't be put off about any negative connotations, or how at the moment sort of certain political voices are putting a bit of a downer on anyone that's neurodiverse. Don't listen to that, because there's lots of positives that comes from being neurodiverse, and it's not all about deficits and being broken and struggles. There is so much positive to come from having a diagnosis, and knowing and understanding yourself, and being able to cope in a neurotypical world. And I am so glad that I went for that, and it has helped me learn about myself, and accept myself, and be kind to myself. All those things that I do for other people, I can now do for myself a lot better. And don't listen to the haters. Listen to those that have love around you, those people that are close, and the people that want to have an inclusive and diverse society, not those that are looking to cure or get rid of, or see people that are different as a threat. And I think to traffic in hate is despicable by any political party, and that's not how society works, in my view. It's about acceptance, and hate is spread through fear and lack of understanding. So raise that awareness, raise that positivity. You shout it from the rooftops if you want to, because it is fantastic, and it's just a different way of thinking, and there's so much to be had, and so much productivity and usefulness out of brains that don't necessarily fit the neurotypical mould. And having a team that is full of diverse people makes for such a productive workforce, if you want to see it in those terms, and has financial gains, as well as being absolutely fantastic human beings that are intuitive, sensitive, full of empathy, funny, able to see the big picture, can probably understand people better than they understand themselves sometimes. So go for those positives, and as I say, don't listen to the haters. Thanks for watching. Hope it's useful.